Before we begin, the information provided is for general educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. It does not replace consultant with a qualified healthcare professional. If you have a medical concern, diagnosis, or treatment question, you should consult your physician or another licensed healthcare provider.
I'm excited to share your story. One of the things we always talk about is how very unique every story is, and I know that yours will be as well. I've gotten a little bit of insight on what's going on with you, but I would love it if you would take us back to when you were first diagnosed. How did you end up finding out that you had breast cancer?
A self-exam. I noticed a lump about 3 months before I actually made an appointment to go in for a mammogram. And bad me, I usually go in every year, but COVID happened and life was just going on. And so it was October 2024. I went in for my mammogram, and 3 days later, literally, they called me and they said, you need to come in for a biopsy. And October the 31st is when my doctor called me and told me I had HER2 triple positive breast cancer.
Wow. And so what year was this, Christy?
2024.
I've, you know, there's so many different types of breast cancer anymore, as far as like there's, stage 2A, 2 and 3B and all this stuff, and HER2 positive, HER2 negative, ER positive, PR negative, whatever, all the different things. I have not heard of HER2 triple positive. What can you tell us about that?
So the only good thing you can say is that because HER2 means that your cancer is hormonal, it's not genetic. It's to me, it was like the luck of the draw. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm a woman, I have hormones, and I got breast cancer. But the only positive thing I can tell you about the triple positive is that the doctors know exactly how to target that cancer with the right cancer drugs. Unlike negative, it's a totally different game. And I believe you had negative, April, but it's not as targeted, and so negative's worse. But triple positive was a positive thing because they were able to kind of target it the first round and the second round of chemos that I went through.
Gotcha. Yeah, I with triple negative breast cancer, the downside about it is it's more aggressive and more likely to recur. But the good thing about it is it actually responds very well to chemotherapy, especially when caught early. So since mine was caught at stage 1, it responded super well. So I'm like 16, almost 16 years cancer free. So that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about. So you said you went in for a mammogram. It was just like an annual mammogram, and that's when it was found. You didn't find a lump or anything like that, right?
I found a lump a few months before that, but
Uh-huh.
it didn't hurt, and it was, it wasn't large. So I just thought cystic or something like that. But when I went in for my mammogram, they saw it right away, and they called me within 3 days to come in for biopsies.
Wow, yeah, that's a scary call to get too. I know. I remember I had a similar thing happen where they basically told me when they did the ultrasound, because I did do a mammogram, they were like, "Okay, this looks different. We need to get you scheduled for a biopsy." And it's kind of scary when all that is going down. Do you remember, like, in your mind, were you like, "Oh, everything's fine. It's not going to be anything," or were you like kind of
No,
panicked?
I panicked.
Yeah.
You hear the word cancer, and when you go through it with family members or friends, you're going through it, but from a different aspect, obviously. And even to this day, and a year and a half, and when I say cancer, it doesn't resonate. When you look on the outside, I went through that. I lost my hair, and everybody thinks that's the worst thing positive, and it really wasn't. I will tell you just a fun story. I was on my last chemo for my first round of chemos, and I didn't have any hair, and I had a like a ski cap on or whatever. And I was sitting in the waiting room. I was actually by myself because all my friends were busy that day. And so I'm sitting there, and a woman came over to me, and she said, I've been watching you since you sat down. And I was on the phone with my husband, and I just got diagnosed. And I was like, wow, look at that woman. Because it was my last day. They were going to take pictures. So I made myself up. And they're like, if this is like on one of your worst days, I'll be okay. I don't want to cry, but it wasn't one of my worst days. But the fact she thought that way, I was like, you've got this.
Wow. That's powerful stuff, man. Yeah, it's like I think we all go through that at least at some point, a point of panic, where like for me, I remember whenever they told me I needed a biopsy, I was like, "Oh, it's fine." I wasn't worried about it at all. And then as soon as they told me that it was cancer, yeah, it's just like it doesn't matter what else they say after that. You immediately think you're going to die and soon, right? It's
Yeah,
terrifying. Yeah.
it's true. And now it's like so I have my second round of my last chemo will be next week. Yay.
Yay! Rock and roll. Amazing.
But yeah, it's like other stories that I hear from friends and family members that have gone through any kind of cancer is, your life changes forever because every time something hurts, you're like, oh, is that cancer? Did it move? Did it spread? So it's a total mental game for sure. In addition to all the the drugs that you have to take, but
Yeah. So what was the date? Do you remember well, did you have first of all, did you have any surgeries after you were
oh my
diagnosed?
goodness,
Yeah.
I've had four surgeries. So I had my mastectomy a year ago this past April, and then I ended up with an infection and had to have two more surgeries after that. And then my body was not reacting well with expanders in my body when I had to do 34 rounds of radiation. And so I had to have another surgery to remove the expanders. So now it's like, do we want to even go through some more surgeries or are we just happy right
Wow.
now?
So the expanders, was it like your body was kind of rejecting the foreign object in your body, and like what was it doing that was rejecting it? Do you like
It it was swelling. It would swell really bad, retain a lot of fluid. So I'd go to my doctor and she would take fluid off. And for a while, all, three of my doctors were talking on the phone. They couldn't figure out what was wrong or what was different other than the fact I had that expander. Um, typically I feel like people will do radiation before they start this. But after my double mastectomy, my cancer had spread into my lymph nodes. And so,
so
um,
after so before you had your double mastectomy, it was only in your breast, but after your double mastectomy, it was apparently still in your blood system or your lymph node system to where it spread to your lymph nodes.
yes, that is correct.
Wow. I haven't heard of that
Yeah.
happening either. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
And it's just through God, that I think I was going to have a lumpectomy and not a double mastectomy. And then I was reading, listening to doctors and trying to, I'm on so many breast cancer Facebook pages and listening to people's stories and asking them questions. Um, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I don't want to do this again. I'm just going to do it and be done with it. And then we'll start reconstruction right away. That was the plan,
Man,
but my
all good
body,
plans.
yeah, cancer had a different idea. So,
Right.
you know what? But I'm here today talking about it. So that's all right.
So you had your double mastectomy. Then they told you that it spread. You had the expanders weren't working out. I mean, I know we're gonna get to it, but I can't. I want to know. Did you ever get to have your reconstruction?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
So you don't have expanders in either, right? Still.
I don't because since the plan was after I did the radiation 34 treatments, which I don't know which is worse, some of the chemos or the radiation, I had to start a new chemo plan. Um so and then I had to go through those treatments after radiation. And so I get to finish that up June 24th. I actually see a plastic surgeon on June 22nd
Wow.
just to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's so crazy. How do you feel like right now? Are you wearing prosthetics? Are you just going flat, or what are you
No, I
doing?
just go flat. I put on it's kind of nice not to have a problem. I'm
Dude,
not gonna lie about it.
I
But
yeah, I know, yeah.
I see so many women that are kind of empowered by it and they opt to not do reconstruction.
Right.
I had a really hard time after my double mastectomy. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know anyone who had ever gone through it. And yeah, that was oof, that was hard. But after I fought through the radiation and the more chemo, I was like, you know what? I'm still here. I didn't do prosthetics. I in my mind that sounds so weird. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. And finally I would wear just big baggy shirts because I don't know, it was just all in my head. But now I wear just regular t-shirts or tank tops, and I'm like, man, I don't care what people think. I'm still, again, I'm walking on 2 feet.
Yeah, you're alive, man, and that's really all that matters. And we talk about this a lot on this show about it being such a personal decision. How you handle having a double mastectomy and reconstruction or not reconstruction, or prosthetics or not prosthetics. And I myself had double mastectomy, and I didn't do reconstruction just because I felt in my mind I didn't want to worry about having cancer in my breasts anymore. I felt like if I don't have breasts anymore, I can't get breast cancer again, which isn't entirely true, but it does help prevent local recurrence, but it doesn't prevent like metastatic recurrence. So there's positives and negatives to it, and I know for me, I remember, and I first of all, it's so cool that you walk around, and I mean, I'm looking at you right here, and it's not like I'm looking at you going, "Oh my God, where's her boobs?" Like it doesn't even cross my mind. You look beautiful, but I was like overly protective of my chest because it was so sensitive. I don't know if your chest feels sensitive, but even still, 16 years later, if something goes across my chest, it's hurts because it's just so sensitive. It's like the nerves are just sitting there on the edge, and so because of that's one of the reasons. But I ended up wearing prosthetics, so my boobs travel in my bra, so I could just like put the bra on, and then they have the boobs in there, and it kind of feels like it protects me from anything. Like if I were to bump into something because it just hurts so bad, or wearing a seatbelt kind of hurt or felt very, very uncomfortable for me. But I have plenty of people that I know that didn't do reconstruction and never plan to, and don't wear prosthetics, and it's just everybody's personal choice on which way they want to go. So I hope and pray that the direction that it ends up for you is exactly what you wanted.
Thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
So let's talk a little bit about your chemo treatment. You did your chemo treatment first after your or was it the radiation?
Well, no, I did chemo first. I
Good.
did the typical HER2 or HER2 triple positive is 4 different chemos in one, and it's not pleasant at all. And but it has a really high success rate, success rate. I went through that. I never thought that your body or mind could feel so bad. I'm so grateful and thankful that I had such a great support system. I mean, literally everybody really joined together to help me through this. Um, and then after that is when I opted for the double mastectomy, and they found the cancer had spread, and then I had to do radiation and then a new round of chemo. It's just one chemo drug, and so it's not as potent as the other stuff that just wrecks your skin and your hair and everything.
So
But yeah,
the first rounds of chemo, you said it was 4 chemos in one. Do you recall what the chemo regimen was, like what they were?
the acronym is TCHP. I cannot even
TCHP.
pronounce those words.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, man.
TCHP
Uh-huh.
is if you say it to a doctor, they're like, "Oh, okay." Um, and I did it once a week for 8 weeks.
Wow, that's heavy.
And the first time you went, you were literally there for like almost 8 hours.
Yeah.
And so I met a lot of other amazing cancer patients, not just breast cancer, but other cancer patients, because I was there so long and I had to talk. If I wasn't sleeping, I was talking. So, um, but then the radiation, I didn't know that I would have to do the maximum amount of treatments. But because of having HER2 and the fact that it had spread already so quickly, they were like, yeah, you have no other option but to do the max. And then my question is if that's the max, and then what happens if it comes back? Do I not get to do the radiation again, or what's going on? There's a lot of questions when you're going through this. Uh, and like we said earlier, everybody's cocktail maybe is different, and everybody responds differently. My doctors are amazed that the chemo that I'm on right now, I only get like fatigued, which is pretty often. But I'm not having all the other major possibility of reactions from it that everyone else has kind of experienced. So, and I'm like, thank you so much for that, because I went through enough the first year.
Well, that's really good because you're right. A lot of people do go through a lot of things, a lot of digestive system issues and things like that. And so it's good that you avoided a lot of those. I have to look up all the stuff you're talking about. Like I said when we started the show, everybody's story is unique, and yours is definitely unique compared to others. And I'll have to go back at THCP. I think you said.
Yes, ma'am.
THCP. I'm gonna have to go Google that and talk to
CHP,
my
yeah.
AI buddy about it, and learn some. So, when you did radiation, did you have any bad side effects from that?
Oh yes.
Talk about
After
that.
the first like 8 treatments, it was okay. I was like, oh, okay, if this is going to be the worst of it, it's okay. But what we know about chemo is it cooks you from the inside out, literally, and radiation does the reverse. It cooks you from the outside in. Is the best way to summarize going through chemo and radiation. And again, because it was the HER2 and it was the triple positive, they targeted the lymph node area, and then I would have right after that another session where they would go larger. I'm sorry, I'm talking with my hands. And so but once I hit like that 14th treatment, my skin on the outside was literally, it was cooking, it was embarrassing, it was blistered, and
Sounds so painful, man.
it was so
Like
painful.
a
My
really
doctor
super
prescribed
bad
me all
sunburn
kinds of meds for that. I was like,
creams.
this is horrific.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're like putting different creams on there and everything like that. And so was it
Pain
very
med.
was it
I mean,
you said it was embarrassing, or it was easy to be seen where it
yeah,
was?
because even putting on a shirt at all would hurt, but I'd want
Oh
something
gosh.
lower,
Oh,
just
yeah.
whatever you could do to
Mhm.
kind of ventilate. And so if it ever stuck out, because it was, they intensified the laser at first, and then they go wider. And so it looks like you have like this big rash in that area. And so, but if it's warm outside, you don't want to go outside with a sweater on or something like that. A lot of the stuff about cancer at first was embarrassing. When I lost my hair, I wouldn't go anywhere, and I have so many wigs. If anybody out there needs wigs, let me know. I've got all kinds of colors
Well,
and
we'll
all kinds of
totally
wigs.
we'll totally get them to people that need them if you want to donate them. A lot
Yes,
of times people
brand
will reach
new.
out. So, yeah, definitely
Okay,
reach out to
I will
Izzy
get
and she
those to
can
people.
coordinate and give you our PO box and you can send it
Absolutely.
in. Yeah.
Uh, but it didn't feel like me in a wig. And so, when my hair got about an inch long, I was done. I'm like, I'm done with wigs. I'm going out. I don't care what people think. Cancer kind of like empowered me in a way too. I know it's a horrible experience, but you find your inner strength that you never thought you had, and you fight.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
because you have more than yourself to fight for,
Right.
and that's just what you have to do.
Yeah, totally, totally. So I know that I was looking at some of the notes about what you've been going through, and it sounds like you once you finish this treatment that you have ending on June the 24th, you're going to be starting a trial drug. Is that right?
Yes.
So what was
We
the? Are they feeling like you need more chemo at the end of it, or did you make a
Yes.
choice? Or okay, and I
So you
didn't
and
ask
I,
you this. I didn't ask you this
we
forever ago. Is did they ever stage you? Did they tell you what stage you
they
are?
staged me at 2,
Okay,
but very aggressive.
yeah, gotcha.
Uh, so you and I share the same doctor. Shout out, Dr. O'Shaughnessy.
Dr. O
Um,
rules. We just had her on the commercial break, so that's
I
amazing.
saw that. It was
Yeah,
so cool. I saw
that's
that.
awesome.
She is amazing. And so from the first, uh, we don't have enough time to talk about my whole case, but I had fired my initial doctors, and then, but was, uh, long story, but was able to meet Dr. O'Shaughnessy, and she has been a total godsend. And she said when I finished the second round, and even after radiation, that I was going to have to do something else. But instead of doing like a immunotherapy drug, she wants me to be part of a trial that they have going on. I can't talk about specifics and stuff like that, but it's in its third round of the trial, and it has over a 90% success rate to help target these cancers. And so I'm excited about it. I get to learn everything about it and get signed up next week. And, you know, just, fingers crossed based on other people I know, they're like, at this point, at the round that it's in, it's going to get out there to the public. So
Well,
that's another thing that's great.
well, and being a part of a clinical trial is not only important for you, but it's important for other people out there, because the more people who do this trial, the more they could determine the efficacy of it. It's like, where did that word go?
Yeah.
I lost it. Of that particular treatment, and then possibly get it approved for standard of care. So that's really cool that you're doing that. There's another woman, Courtney, who's been on our show several times, who did a clinical trial, and that was one of the things that she really liked about doing it, is knowing that it was helping other people. So that's super cool that you're doing that. Wow, it's like we're right here in the midst of all your business you got going on, and I'm gonna have to get you to give us an update after you start that trial. You'll have to message Izzy and let her know, so you can keep us posted on how you're doing, and we could probably have you on again and get an update at some point or another. But one thing that I always like to talk about too, and you kind of touched on this a little bit when you were talking about meeting so many wonderful people and how there's some good that has come out of having breast cancer. Can you talk a little bit more about what other things you felt that have been good that have come out of this experience for you?
Oh, absolutely. The interaction with the people that you come across that have cancer, that there are just no words to describe that. But I've had people personally reach out to me about my story. I caution people, especially when you're looking at plastics and stuff like that, make sure you do your research on not only the doctors, but the facilities that they use. Don't be afraid to ask, for referrals outside of maybe the scope of your doctor. But just being able to help educate people, I think, has been what I never thought that I would be doing, at this stage and age of my life. But it's been quite the experience, and just people literally coming out of the woodwork, like people I graduated high school with and stuff like that, calling me up because they saw my story online, and they're just like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen you since graduation or prom, right? And it's just been, that is so uplifting to know that at some point you touch someone enough and now they're coming back and they're just like, I'm here for you, whatever
No,
you
yeah,
need. I
so
mean,
awesome.
I got set my, I missed a lot of work. So after a while, where I was working, they're like, Christy, you have to separate. We're sorry, but I worked in sales and marketing. I get it. They needed a full-time person there. And people would reach out. They're like, I don't have any money, but I can come mow your lawn. Christy, what's your favorite food? I mean, anything like that. And it's that sense of community that comes together when you think that you're like this. And it's just like it mushrooms, and it is just amazing, because you doubt society anymore, I feel like. But right now it's amazing to see when communities come together and they're just like, you know what, we love you. And we don't even know you, but we love you and we're praying for you, and here's something.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always talk about, is just that, like, going through something like this really shows the human spirit and how amazing that can be. And like you said, you get all these people because they're touched by your story, and they're like, I think that they kind of have a moment where they're like, oh, I could lose Christy, or Christy could be gone. Like, I need to reach out to her and let her know I love her, and let her know I'm here for her. And they want to show you love in other ways, and let you feel that. And it's really cool. I remember I described it at one point, like being able to go to your own funeral, because people all come out of nowhere and tell you things that they had never told you before. But it's a horrible thing and a wonderful thing all at the same time. It's kind of strange going through breast cancer. But wow, I'm not kidding when I tell you, Christy, when you are a little bit deeper in your trial or after your trial, please do reach out to Izzy, because I think it'd be really cool to have you back on if you'd be willing to talk about that, because we don't get a lot of folks on here that have go through trials. So it would be really cool to have you on to discuss that. That'd be really, really cool.
I would love to do that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome sauce. Well, girl, we're right at time pretty much. So I just want to thank you for being on today. Christy, so cool to chat with you, and you're so rocking. You look so great. You really do. No one would ever look at you and be like, oh, she's going through breast cancer, or treatment or anything. You look great. You're holding it together wonderfully, and just so grateful that you were willing to share your story with us today.
I appreciate it. I loved it. Thank you so much, April.
You bet. Have a great evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.